Mary and Sue headed outside to build a snowman in their yard. They topped off their frosty creation with a black hat. The next morning, they were shocked to find the hat missing. Determined to find the culprit, they questioned their neighbors. Mrs. Lee said she'd been busy baking cookies all evening and hadn't seen a thing. Mr. Carter claimed it was too cold to step outside. Tim, the boy next door, said he hadn't noticed anything out of the ordinary. So, who snatched the hat? It was Tim. He mentioned he hadn't seen anything unusual, but how could he know that if he hadn't looked outside? Plus, let's face it, pulling off a snowman's hat is exactly the kind of mischief a kid would get up to. On Christmas Eve, the Johnsons hung 5 stockings above the fireplace, one for each family member. The next morning, they found a 6th stocking filled with candy. No one fessed up to adding it. Who is the mystery stocking stuffer? It was Santa, of course. He left the extra stocking as a sweet surprise, just like he loves to do. On Christmas morning, the Smith family found all their presents under the tree unwrapped, but nothing was missing. The only clue was a trail of cookie crumbs on the floor. The suspects were the 3 kids: Emily, Tom, and Lily. Emily said she'd been decorating cookies in the kitchen. Tom claimed he'd been watching TV. And Lily said she'd been wrapping a gift in her room. Who unwrapped the presents? It was Emily. The trail of cookie crumbs matches the ones she was decorating. She must have snuck over to the tree to open the presents while munching on some cookies. At a corporate New Year's party, employees dressed up in costumes. There were 10 warehouse workers, 4 programmers, and several secretaries. The programmers dressed as squirrels, the secretaries as rabbits, and the warehouse workers split evenly, half as rabbits and half as foxes. In total, there were 4 squirrels, 10 rabbits, and 5 foxes. How many secretaries were there? There were 5 secretaries. Let's do the math. Half of the warehouse workers dressed as rabbits, making 5 warehouse worker rabbits. With 10 rabbits in total, that leaves 5 secretaries. Santa is known for skipping presents for the naughty. This year, he's got a puzzle. 3 women stand before him, and one has been very mischievous. Santa needs to figure out who it is. The first woman is dressed as a police officer, holding handcuffs. The second is in a maid costume, holding a duster, with the head of a teddy bear in her pocket. The third is in a teacher's outfit, wearing glasses and holding a pointer stick. Santa takes a closer look and spots the troublemaker. Who is it? It's the maid. Look behind her back. Those are the legs of the teddy bear sticking out. She ripped off the teddy bear's head. Definitely naughty. Luke headed to the mall to snag some new Christmas decorations without breaking the bank. He had a strict budget of $10 and not a penny more. Luckily, the mall had a promo. For every 3 baubles he bought, he'd get 1 free. Each bauble cost 90 cents. So how many baubles could Luke take home with his $10? First, let's see how many baubles he can buy. A quick bit of math helps here. $10 will get him 11 baubles, since 11 baubles cost $9.90, fitting perfectly within his budget. Now, let's figure out the freebies. We divide 11 by 3, which gives us 3 with a remainder. Since you only get a free bauble for every complete set of 3, Luke gets 3 free baubles. So, with $10, Luke can walk away with a grand total of 14 baubles. Not bad for a thrifty shopper. One winter morning, Mr. Jackson stepped out to his front yard and saw a mysterious figure standing there. The figure didn't move, speak, or do anything unusual. The next morning, the same thing happened. But Mr. Jackson didn't seem to mind having such a guest in his front yard. The figure stayed for several weeks, but then it disappeared. Why and what happened? It simply got warmer, and the figure melted away because it was a snowman. It so happened that while Santa was sleeping, Krampus locked him in his room with no way to get out. But that doesn't mean the kids won't get their gifts. They will, as Krampus has his own plans. Traditionally, Krampus would punish naughty kids with birch rods, but this year, he's feeling generous. Each kid will get to choose one out of 3 boxes, and only one will contain an actual gift. The other 2 will have, well, let's just say they'll be pranks. Can you guess which one of these 3 boxes has the real gift? It's the box on the left. The one might have appealing wrapping, but the flies buzzing around it make it look suspicious. As for the box on the right, see those black fingerprints? It's probably full of coal. So the box on the left looks the safest. Actually, it's not entirely true that Santa had no way out. Long story short, he managed to escape that room and Christmas was saved once again. But how did he do it? Let's rewind a bit to Santa's room. Take a closer look. Sure, the window is too small and too high up for Santa. But remember how he usually gets into houses? That's right, through the chimney. And guess what? There's a fireplace in the room. Santa could have waited for the fire to go out, but there was a bucket of water right next to it. So Santa used the chimney to escape. Chloe was getting ready for Christmas dinner. She wanted to bake some cute Christmas cookies, but she didn't have enough ingredients in her kitchen. So she wrote a grocery list and gave it to her husband. However, she made it a bit tricky. Instead of words, she drew a picture. It showed a cow in a bottle with a lot of flowers around it. Based on this picture, what was Chloe's husband supposed to buy? A bottle of milk and a lot of flour. Okay, let's play Santa. These 3 guys, Jake, Glenn, and Finn, don't believe in Santa anymore, so they didn't bother writing any letters to him. But Santa really wants to make them happy by bringing them gifts, so he sends a few of his elves to observe the guys and figure out which present would make each of them happy. Can you help them out? First up is Jake's room. Which gift would be the best for him? Jake seems to be really into music, so a shiny new guitar would be a perfect match. Next, there's Glenn's room. What is the best possible gift for him? Judging by all the posters on his wall, Glenn likes skateboarding. And if you look closely, you'll see that his skateboard is broken and tucked under his desk. So Santa can make him happy with a new skateboard. Finally, there's Finn's room. This one seems a bit harder. His room doesn't have many clues like the others did. Pay attention to the smallest details. Let's see. Plain gray walls, nothing interesting. The desk is pristine, not a trace of anything that could give us a hint. Look, there's a cat bed that's empty. No cat photos, no cat bowls. Nothing that shows there's an actual cat living there. Does that mean all Finn wants for Christmas is a cat? Maybe, but giving a pet as a gift isn't very sensible, so Santa will get him a nice plush cat instead. Okay, everyone got their gifts, but what about Santa? You need to show your gratitude for the gifts. While it might be hard to pick the perfect gift for him, He can't resist yummy food. Take a look in the fridge and see what you could treat Santa to. Of course, it's milk and cookies. Traditionally, it's a glass of milk and some cookies that you leave out for Santa, so make sure to stock up before the festive season. Cheers! Detectives Tim and Anderson had just been handed the most cryptic mission of their careers. No one at the agency could even tell them where they were heading. All they got was a coded message and a map with only continent names labeled. "Look closely at the map," their handlers said. "Add a direction to one of these continents, and you will get the name of the country where you're going." Can you help them to figure it out? It didn't take them long to crack it. The direction was south, and the continent was Africa, because adding south to Africa gave them South Africa. Bingo! Now they are definitely sure where they're supposed to go. Their next set of instructions would come from an informant during the flight, so they boarded and spotted 3 men sitting next to them. Can you tell which one is their guy? Look, this man is holding a suitcase marked with a small emblem from the detective agency. Which, by the way, is the same emblem Tim and Anderson have on their suitcases. This is definitely the informant. They walk over, and he discreetly handed them a slip of paper before slipping back into their seats. The note was supposed to contain the name of their main suspect, but they quickly realized that it was also encoded. Thankfully, Tim remembered an old trick from their agency. Each vowel matched up with a number. That means the letter A corresponds to the number 1. The letter E is 2, I is 3, O is 4, and U is 5. Now it is time to crack the criminal's name. The name is spelled out as Nico Nacho. Of all names, Nico Nacho, Anderson chuckled, but they knew better than to underestimate him. Nico was notorious in the underworld for his crafty disguises and dangerous alliances. When they touched down in South Africa, they found out that Nico ran a restaurant as his cover. A taxi driver agreed to take them there, but only if they guessed which of the taxis belonged to him. Then, he handed him this encoded message. Can you tell which taxi the detectives should choose among these 3? These strange symbols are mirrored numbers. If we cut the upside-down triangle, we get the number 7. Cut the 8 and we get the number 3. Do the same with this weird heart-shaped symbol and it becomes number 2. So the correct taxi is the one that has the number 7327 on the license plate. Tim and Anderson finally arrive at their destination, but there are 3 restaurants on this street, and each one has really bizarre names. The restaurant signs read Okan, Atsap, and Silrag. Can you guess which one belongs to Nico's criminal network? A quick flip of the words told them everything they needed to know. Reading it backwards, Silrag turns into garlic. Atsap is pasta. And Okan spells nacho. Wow, just like Nico's last name. Yep, this is definitely the place. They walked into the shady restaurant, but to be honest, it looked pretty ordinary. So they asked the manager to check the security camera footage from the night before, after the place closed. The manager looked nervous, but she agreed. Then she showed them the footage from 2 different cameras that captured the empty restaurant from different angles. Then, suddenly, Tim shouted, "Wait! Pause here! Play it again!" Can you figure out why he decided to rewind the footage? Both cameras had the same timestamp, but one showed the piñata hanging from the ceiling moving, while in the other one, the piñata didn't move at all. A possible explanation is that the criminals erased some footage, so the video looks like it's paused. And look over there. In this footage, they can see a sketchy door. Something is definitely up with that. Maybe they wanted to hide who went in there. Tim and Anderson get inside that door and spot a staircase leading to the basement. Heading down, the stairs seem to stretch endlessly. When they reached the bottom, they were confronted by a chilling sight. 3 cages, each containing a captive surrounded by dangerous animals. So the 2 of them got a message on their phones that said, "You can save only one. There is no time to save them all." In the first cage, a person stood stock still as crocodiles swam beneath, their beady eyes watching, waiting. In the second, tigers paced and growled, tense and ready to pounce. In the third, a network of snakes slithered around the feet of the captive, coiling and hissing. Tim and Anderson had to think fast. Who will they save first? Let's see. Crocodiles are not as aggressive unless provoked. The snakes are likely venomous, but as long as the person stayed calm, they'd have a little time. The tigers, though, they were actively circling, clearly hostile, and seconds away from attacking. They had to make a call, and fast. In a split second, they went for the person surrounded by tigers, pulling them free just as one of the tigers roared. But they got the person out in time. Phew! Sorry, but the other victims will have to wait a bit longer to be rescued, because when they looked back, the detectives saw a hooded suspect sneaking out of the basement. Tim and Anderson took off running after him. They chased him hard until the suspect reached a dead end. The detectives shouted, "Stop right there!" But then they realized they were actually the ones who were in danger. But how? Take a look at the floor. There are only 2 detectives, but there are 4 shadows on the ground. That means there are 2 people right behind them. Tim and Anderson froze in fear, but they didn't have time to think. Suddenly, a group of tough guys surrounded them. "You think you can just come in here and mess with Nico's operation?" one of them asked. And then he said that Nico Nacho would see them, but only if they could solve a riddle to prove their worth. He handed them a note that said, "I belong to the month of December, and not to any other month. I am not a holiday. What am I?" What the criminals didn't know was that Tim was a pro at riddles. He immediately realized the answer was the letter D, since no other month has that letter. They finally made it to Nico Nacho's mansion, but their problems were far from over. There was a really angry dog at the door growling at them. The detectives knew they were in deep trouble. Anderson thought out loud. "What should we do? Run for it, raise our hands, or grab a bottle of water?" Now tell us in the comments, what would you do? Got any advice for them? running or raising their hands could freak the dog out even more, making things way more dangerous. The smart move is to grab the water bottle and throw it far away so the dog goes after it, giving them a chance to sneak into the house. And that is exactly what they do. As soon as they step into the main room, Tim and Anderson take in the decor, glance at each other, and realize something feels really off. What did they notice? See that picture on the wall? That is not Nico Nacho. That guy is the informant. Yep, the one who was on the plane with them. But wait, that makes zero sense. Can someone please tell them what is going on? Suddenly, a bunch of their fellow detectives burst into the room, clapping and congratulating them. This time, they weren't after Nico Nacho. Turns out, Tim and Anderson's super-secret mission was actually a huge prank by the detective agency, because they were celebrating their 100th case. They wanted to mark the occasion with some special puzzles, riddles, and of course, a bunch of very professional actors. Sarah and John invited 3 women to a dinner party at their home. Emily brought a red lipstick with her. Claire was wearing a bracelet that John had once mentioned he liked, and Julia had a handkerchief peeking out of her bag. Now, Sarah suspects that one of them is John's lover, but who? Let's see. Emily had a red lipstick, but it wasn't on her lips, so the kiss mark on John's neck isn't from her. John did compliment Claire's bracelet once, but she wears it every day. Now, check out that handkerchief sticking out of Julia's bag. It has a J on it. John has a matching handkerchief with the same letter, which he always uses for special occasions like tonight. That means Julia is the secret lover. Lily was at a job interview for a journalist position. After some tough questions, the interviewer said she would get back to her later with the results. But Lily noticed that the interviewer had written start in her notes. So, did she get the job or not? The letter E is written in red, and the word start is repeated twice. Put together, it reads, ready to start. Congrats on the new job, Lily! You made it! Susan broke up with Liam, and before moving out, she couldn't find her diary. So she told Liam, if you find it, promise me you'll throw it away without reading it. A year later, Liam found the diary. Despite the promise, he decided to open it anyway and saw the message. He then facepalmed. Can you guess why? Well, Liam finally understood why Susan left him. Check out the message backward. It reads, I cannot trust you. Ouch! Andrew got a job taking care of 3 quirky dogs for a wealthy and eccentric old man. The instructions were simple. Buddy loved beef, Luna preferred chicken, and Rocky enjoyed fish. But when it was time to feed the animals, Andrew only saw the numbers 1, 2, and 3 at the bottom of the bowls, and couldn't remember which bowl corresponded to which dog. Can you help him out? Look at the wall. The dogs are real champs, and the bowls match their medals. Buddy, who won first place, gets bowl number 1. Rocky, who came in second, gets bowl number 2. And Luna, who finished third, gets bowl number 3. Arthur was having dinner at Jack's, his childhood friend. After a while, Jack pulled out an old photo album. Arthur was having a great time flipping through it until he suddenly froze in shock. There was a photo from a senior school trip in 1994, and he was in it. but he didn't remember going. What was going on? Sadly, Arthur couldn't make it to that trip. His friends didn't want him to feel left out, so they attached a photo of Arthur's face to a stick and brought it with them. Christina was working when her mom called her, urgently telling her to hurry and open their safe at home. She revealed that the first numbers were 06 and 16, but just as she was about to say the last number, the call dropped. Christina knew the code was 3 two-digit numbers in a sequence. Can you help her figure out the entire code? If you turn the code numbers upside down, you get 90 and 91. That means the next number in the sequence is 92. Phew! So, Jay Rush, a famous rapper, is hanging out in his super soundproof home studio, where absolutely no outside noise gets through. But suddenly, he hears a soft woman's voice singing. How is that possible? Take a look over there, in the corner. There's a baby monitor. The voice he heard was his wife singing a lullaby to their daughter upstairs. Leo is studying in Spain and has planned a romantic weekend in Paris with his girlfriend. Their flight is set for 7 in the morning. They both arrive at the airport at the same time, look at each other, and say, "I'm so sorry." So what are they apologizing for? Check the clock on the wall. It's 7 in the evening. That means they both overslept and missed their morning flight. Luckily, the airline put them on the next one. Alan is taking his driving test, and he's sitting there all nervous next to the instructor. Suddenly, a car zooms through a red light right in front of them. The instructor says, "Never do what that crazy driver just did." But there's something that shocks Alan even more. Can you guess what it is? The terrible driver is actually Alan's twin brother. Different haircuts, but the same face. What are the odds? Susan is writing a birthday card for her best friend and wants to cut it into a heart shape. But, oh no, she can't find her scissors. So, Susan goes to a store where she sees 4 options. Scissors for $2, $5, $15, and $30. Which pair does she buy? She picks the $15 pair. Let's remember that Susan wrote the card with her left hand, and the $15 scissors are the only ones designed for left-handed people. Thomas was in the library when he found a dusty old book titled Ancient Riddles. As he flipped through the pages, a card fell out with the word molar written on it. He quickly figured out that this card didn't belong in the book. How did he know? Well, molar is a type of tooth, and the word is written in blue. So the answer here is Bluetooth. Definitely a bit too modern for an ancient riddle, don't you think? At a birthday celebration at a luxury spa, Lily was proudly wearing her favorite designer bracelet. After a relaxing session in the sauna, everyone went back to the lounge, only to find that Lily's bracelet was missing. Can you guess what happened to it? The masseuse took it. Check out the lotion bottle. The bracelet is wrapped around the lid. Dennis plays soccer with his friends every week after work. One evening, he noticed that his sports socks were sewn together. In a hurry, he just wore his work socks to the game and forgot about it. The next morning, his wife looked pale and said, "We need to talk." Why was she so upset? Turns out, Dennis's wife sewed his sports socks together to see if he was cheating. She thought that if the socks were still sewn together the next day, it meant he'd skip soccer for a secret date. Clara woke up suddenly at 4 in the morning to the sound of her phone hitting the floor. She thought it must have been the cat, but then she noticed that Mr. Whiskers was across the room staring at her. So how did the phone end up on the floor? Turns out it was a little earthquake. Clara figured it out when she picked up her phone and saw an earthquake alert on the screen. Tom is a new lifeguard at Splash Water Park Resort. He's watching over the wave pool when he suddenly spots an emergency. Can you figure out what's caught his attention? This kid doesn't have a floaty, but that's not an issue since she's in the shallow end. Look further back. See that hand sticking out between the floaties? Someone has slipped out of their floaty and is signaling for help. Dave, Emily, and Tom decided to play hide and seek at Emily's house. Emily quickly found Tom hiding behind the sofa, but no matter how hard they looked, Dave was nowhere to be found. Can you help Emily and Tom track down their missing friend? Dave hid in the bathtub and closed the shower curtain. Since the curtain matched the bathroom walls, it was super easy to miss. Kyle is on a nearly empty flight to New York, but the kid sitting next to him just won't stop crying. Frustrated, he asks the flight attendant if he can switch seats. She checks his passport, rolls her eyes, and says, "That's impossible." Why is she so annoyed? Turns out, the crying kid is actually Kyle's own daughter. A billionaire called Mr. Van Louis realizes he's living his last days. He decides to leave all his huge fortune to someone. After thinking it over, he's left with 7 candidates. Each person is different from the others. Each has their own motives and merits, and each and every one of them has some hidden secrets. Before making the final decision, Mr. Louis decides to listen to the candidates' life stories to figure out who truly deserves the inheritance. But keep in mind that not everything is as it seems, and sometimes it's the loveliest people who hide the darkest secrets. But before we eavesdrop on the conversations the billionaire is having with his nearest and dearest, let's sneak a peek at the characters and life stories of these people. The first on the list is 40-year-old Alex, Van's eldest son. At first sight, he's a successful businessman, just like his father. Since childhood, he's always been trying to please Mr. Louis, and now he's sick and tired of his image of a good son. It might be the reason why his business is in deep crisis, and the situation is so bad that the word bankruptcy has already been whispered. But is Alex desperate enough to do something unforgivable? We'll see. Maria is 35 years old. She's the middle daughter and a talented artist. Unlike her elder brother, she's always been independent, which caused a rift between her and Alex. But even though she looks cheerful and carefree, she's in debt and currently experiences too much drama in her life. She hopes that the inheritance can help her fix her career and recover from a financial setback. John, Mr. Louis' 33-year-old youngest son, is disabled. But despite the limitations of his own body, he's a doctor, and a good one at that. He is devoted to his profession and spends most of his time in hospital helping people. Van has known his best friend, Helen, since they were kids. Helen is 65 years old, and she's been with him through many ups and downs. At the moment, she's working as a volunteer, helping those in need. She hopes she'll get the inheritance. She's always speaking of opening her own shelter for homeless animals. Peter, who is 50 years old, is Van's trusted business partner and confidant, who has always helped Mr. Louis in all his endeavors. Peter seems to be dedicated to his work, and it might even be true. But his true intention is to take over Van's company after the man passes away. Is Peter eager enough to speed up this process? We'll see, I guess. Anna is 28 years old, and she's Mr. Louis' housemaid. She's been working for him since she was 20 and has earned a reputation of a modest and hard-working young woman. Anna has got a small son, and she dreams that he will study in the best college in the country. That inheritance could come in handy. And finally, we've got Max, Mr. Louis' bodyguard, who is 37 years old. Even though he's extremely charming, Max seems to be the black sheep, since he spent 7 years in jail when he was younger. No one but Mr. Louis knows the real depth of his crimes. Max seems to regret his past and does everything to make amends. Now, let's sneak into the billionaire's bedroom, where he speaks to all these people in turn. When Alex enters, his father doesn't waste a second.
I know about the problems with business you're experiencing. I don't think leaving you all my money will save the day.
Alex objects. I must admit that my company is nearing bankruptcy, but what you don't know is I have my own charity fund, which needs a lot of funding. I really need this money to keep helping people. Maria carefully enters her father's bedroom and greets him. She says,
Dad, I'm so sorry I haven't been by your side recently.
The billionaire remarks,
Yes, I know you've been very busy with your social life.
It's not that. I opened a school for young artists and was busy there.
Is this explanation enough to excuse a daughter neglecting her father? We'll see. John slowly and clumsily enters his father's room. He heavily sits in the chair near Van's bed.
Dad, I'm so sorry to hear about your state. If only I could help you.
Mr. Louis interrupts him.
Even if you could, you wouldn't, because you're the reason for my condition.
John is terribly shocked.
What are you talking about?
Don't play innocent. Now I know you've been poisoning me for years. You've got access to rare medicines and you use it to your advantage.
Exasperated, Van Louis invites the next visitor. Helen enters with a sad expression on her face.
My dearest friend, I'm so sorry to see you like this. I'm also sorry I didn't visit. I was busy at the volunteer center.
But the billionaire doesn't seem to be happy to see her.
Do you think I don't know about your gambling addiction? I know what you want to spend my money on after I pass away. Definitely not on an animal shelter.
After all that shouting, Peter feels nervous. He suspects that Van knows about his plans and dishonest schemes. And he's right. But what he hears next makes him freeze.
Peter, my loyal partner. I know you wanted to lay your hands on my business, but I also know that recently you've abandoned this idea. I'm aware of all those cases in which you negotiated with our clients to save the company and its reputation. I know that you spent your own money to solve the issues my business had. Thank you.
When Anna enters the room, Mr. Louis smiles kindly.
How is your son? I know you're dreaming of getting that inheritance to help your kid. I also bet you want to lead a luxurious lifestyle and drive an expensive car. But you must understand that I have my own children and I need to take care of them.
Anna exclaims,
Of course, I understand, Mr. Louis. I don't need all those riches. My only wish is for you to get better.
Eventually, Max comes to talk to Van.
Hey, Mr. Louie. I feel so bad about your condition. How can I help you? You've helped me enough, Max. You have literally saved my life countless times in drastic situations. But now, you can be sure that I won't reveal your secrets. I'll take them with me to the grave.
After talking to each of the candidates, Mr. Louis was left deep in thought. Should he leave his money to his eldest son, whose life was dedicated to pleasing his father? Should his daughter get the inheritance? Despite her image, she's actually bringing a lot of good to this world. Should Van forgive his youngest son, or should he report him to the police? Should he help Helen? After all, despite all her flaws, she's his oldest friend. Should he reward Peter, or should he help Anna ensure a bright future for her kid? Maybe he should show Max how much he appreciates his loyalty. The billionaire is at a loss. He drinks his medicinal tea and finally comes to a conclusion. He slowly and with great difficulty gets up from his bed and shuffles to the door. He opens it and sees 7 people. All of them are waiting for his verdict. So, what do you think? Who will Mr. Louis leave all his money to? Think twice, or maybe even thrice, since there are many worthy candidates. And now, get ready for the great reveal. Van Louis decides to leave all his inheritance to Anna. All because the billionaire is actually the father of Anna's son. Now the little guy and his mom don't need to worry. The kid will get the best education. A bright future awaits him. What Mr. Van Louis doesn't know, though, is that the boy's father is actually Max, the charming ex-criminal who stole Anna's heart many years ago.
Once, an expedition set up camp in the middle of a desert. They decided to spend a few days in that place. But when they woke up, their truck had disappeared. Luckily, they had enough food to last a week, but no power and little water. 3 days later, one of the members of the expedition disappeared. The leader of the team questioned the remaining people. Logan said he'd been walking around the camp trying to find water. Joanna said she'd been playing games on her smartphone. Samantha claimed she'd been sleeping all day long to save energy. And Nick said he'd been preparing a report in his tent. Can you figure out who's lying? Joanna isn't telling the truth. Within 3 days, her phone would have already run out of battery. And the expedition doesn't have any power, remember?
Oh.
James was walking near the river in the evening when a group of people dressed in black and wearing masks grabbed him. The leader told James that he had 3 options. They could throw him into the sea with hungry piranhas. He could choose to get dumped into the ocean swarming with sharks, or he could opt for a river with hippos. What option should James pick to survive? Piranhas only live in fresh water. The guy should pick the sea with piranhas.
Yeah!
Ah, look at the groom. It seems he might not live long enough to become a husband.
Oh, no.
One of these ladies has bitten him. Which one was it? It was Lady C. Look at her ears. She doesn't seem to be human.
Oh.
Look at these 2 pictures and try to figure out who is the robot here. Despite their unusual tattoos, the girls are humans. The robot is actually the cat in the picture on the right. Have you noticed that it's charging through a USB port on its side?
Oh.
Students knew they would have an exam on Monday, but their professor refused to tell them the exact time. Every time they asked, they got a weird reply. If 11 plus 2 equals 1, 10 plus 6 equals 4. If you manage to figure out the answer, you won't miss the exam. Do you know when the students should meet with their professor? At 4 p.m. 11 o'clock plus 2 hours is 1 p.m. Then 10 o'clock and 6 hours is 4 p.m. Look at these seemingly wealthy women. In reality, one of them is just pretending to be rich. Which one is it? It's the lady on the left. Her bag is fake. The label claims it's Goosey when it's supposed to be Gucci.
Oh my god.
Mark is locked in a room. There are 4 doors there. The guy has entered through one of them and he can't use it again. The first door leads to the room with high voltage wires hanging above the wet floor. Behind the second door, there's a water-filled room swarming with sharks. And the third door hides a room where acid flesh-melting rain is falling from the ceiling. Which door is the least dangerous and can give Mark a chance to escape? Mark should opt for the first door. It'll be safe if Mark doesn't let his body come into contact with the wires and the wet floor at the same time. Now, try to crack this tricky riddle. It's nothing but holes tied to other holes. At the same time, this thing is as strong as steel but not as stiff as a pole. So what's your idea? What is it? It's a chain. Two people were born at the exact same time but have different birth dates. How is it even possible? These people were born in different time zones in different places in the world. Now you have to think outside the box to crack this one. 1 is to 3 as 3 is to 5, and 5 is to 4. And 4 is the magic number. Can you figure out the pattern? The word 1 has 3 letters, the word 3 has 5, and the word 5 consists of 4 letters. But the word 4 has 4 letters in it. And whatever number you try, eventually you'll come back to 4. And the game will end there. Mira inherited an old house from her granddad. When she was exploring the cellar, she came across a massive wooden door. She opened it and saw a small room with 3 bags and a note. One of the bags has $1 million and the others are empty. You can only open one bag, so think carefully. Mira also noticed there was a message on each bag. The first bag claimed, "The cash is not here." The message on the second bag was, "The cash is not here." And the third bag said, "The cash is in the second bag." If only one message is true, which bag has the money? The money can't be in the second or third bags. If it was so, then 2 messages would be true. It means the money is in the first bag. William took part in a game show and ended up as one of the 2 contestants to make it to the finals. He came up to the table with 3 cups on it, but only one of these drinks was safe to try. The other 2 were poisoned, and even though a mistake wouldn't cost William his life, the consequences would be unpleasant. The drinks were tea with sugar, cappuccino, and hot chocolate. Which one should William choose? If it was indeed sugar in the tea, it would have already melted completely. But it didn't happen. Cappuccino looks suspiciously green. It's probably unsafe to drink. William opted for the hot chocolate and won the challenge. Look at these people walking along the sea attentively. One of them isn't human. Who is it? It's the young guy in the middle. He has no shadow. Creepy. When you look for something, you always find it in the last place where you search. Why is that? It's always the last place where you look, because after this, you stop your search. One of these ladies is a sporty man's wife. How long will it take you to guess which one it is? It's the girl who doesn't have a helmet, because her helmet is waiting for her on her husband's bike. All of these people seem to be terribly sick. Oh, I see. It's the maid. She's poisoned them. But what if I tell you that one of these people is actually faking poisoning, trying to save their life? Can you figure out who it is?
Oh my god!
It's the woman on the left wearing a red dress. She hasn't even touched her drink. Look at these ladies very attentively. One of them has stolen a watermelon. Can you understand which one it is? It's the woman on the right. The watermelon is actually peeking through her clothes. You're walking through a forest when you see a big lake. In the middle of the lake, you notice 3 cages floating on the surface. Inside, there are 3 people. Adam's cage is blocked by a huge chunk of ice. Luke's cage is locked with a massive padlock. And on top of Helen's cage, there's a container with boiling water. You can help only one of them. Who should you pick? You should choose to help Luke. The ice blocking Adam's cage will melt sooner or later, the boiling water will evaporate, and Helen will be able to escape, but Luke won't get out of the cage on his own.
Help!
2 identical vans were crossing the bridge when it collapsed. The cars fell into the water and started to sink. Luckily, the drivers were unharmed, but they had to figure out how to get to the surface really fast because the vans started to fill with water. One of the drivers began to push the closest door, and the other tried to open the side door. Who has a higher chance of survival?
Help!
The first driver won't be able to open the door because of the water pressure, but the side door in the second car is a sliding door. With some effort, the second driver will be able to open it and escape. I've got a bunch of new riddles for you, oh great detective. Concentrate and crack them all like nuts. Look at this picture very attentively. One of these people attacked the artist, but can you figure out who it was? The artist started writing the letter K and then another letter, but he didn't have time to finish it. It seems to be an I, so the culprit could be Kitty. But at the same time, it also looks as if the artist simply didn't have time to finish the letter L, which is another letter that can be confused with I. So, if the injured man tried to write the lower part of the letter L but didn't have enough time to finish it, it could easily be Claude, who attacked him. What do you think? Was it Claude or Kitty? Write your answer in the comments. These people seem to be rather strange, but only one of them is a real vampire. Who is it? All of them are drinking something red, but it might be just some pomegranate juice. The girl on the left has a blood red streak next to her mouth, but it might just be smudged lipstick. The man has weird teeth, but they could be artificial. As for the woman on the right, she must be the vampire. Have you noticed that she doesn't have a reflection in the mirror? This couple is about to get married. What a happy event! But not everything is rainbows and butterflies here. One of the people in the picture is actually an alien. Have you spotted this guest from another planet? It's the bride herself. Look, she's got 3 arms. Continuing with the topic of extraterrestrial visitors, you need to find an alien among these athletes. Can you spot anything unusual about them? The guy on the left must be an alien. He's got 2 left hands. Yikes. Creepy. Now this guy seems to be lost and confused. There are 2 doors in front of him, and both ladies seem friendly. But one of the doors isn't safe to enter. Which one is it? It's the door on the left. This glamorous lady is offering the guy a ride, but do you see that strange decor in her apartment? Especially the skull? At the same time, the second woman looks quite disheveled. But despite her messy appearance, offering food might just be a kind gesture. In any case, a ride with a stranger holds more risk than a simple hamburger. Look at these bathrooms very attentively. Your task is to figure out which of them belongs to a zombie. Well, both bathrooms look kinda disgusting, but a real zombie leaves on the left. Do you see that glass standing on the sink in the left room? The zombie keeps his fingers there. Ugh. We've got 3 Miss School contestants here. They look pretty and all, but one of them is actually dangerous. Which one is it? It's the girl in the pink dress. There's blood on her crown. Another day, another monster. Look at these people attentively and try to figure out which of them is a werewolf. The man on the left is just wearing a mask. It's quite obvious. The lady in the middle might have had some kind of an accident, hence the bizarre blue spots on her body. But the man on the right is literally covered with fur, which he is trying to hide with his clothes, but his true nature can still be spotted. A crazy scientist captured Mark and locked him in his lab to use the guy for his experiments. Luckily, the guy managed to get out of the lab, taking along 3 pills. Each of them worked for 10 seconds. The green pill could provide him with regeneration abilities. The red pill could allow him to become invisible. And the blue pill provided him with the ability to fly. To get out of there, Mark had to pass through 3 rooms. One was guarded by a vampire, the second one was protected by a werewolf, and the third one hosted a maniac with a chainsaw. Which pill should Mark take to pass through each room? Mark needs to take the invisibility pill to get past the vampire, the pill enabling him to fly to get past the werewolf, and the regeneration pill to escape the chainsaw. Simon was stuck at a gas station 50 miles away from the city. His car was broken and could be repaired only by the end of the day. Luckily, there were 3 drivers who were ready to offer him a ride to the city. Look at these people and try to understand which car is safe. The driver in the red car is actually a criminal. The police have been looking for the vehicle he's driving. It must have been stolen. The man in the yellow car must be a criminal too.
since he is depicted on the wanted poster on the wall. Only that granny in the blue car is safe to ride with. Maria Walker, a rich businesswoman, collected ancient pieces of art. One day, she managed to buy a priceless Chinese figurine. Maria locked it in a safe in her office and went home. But the next morning, the figurine was gone. Police have 3 suspects, all of them Miss Walker's subordinates. The detective asked each of them if they'd taken the figurine from the safe. Beverly said she hadn't been to the office since Monday. Ralph said that he didn't even know how to open safes and wasn't interested in Chinese art. And Vincent admitted that he'd been to Miss Walker's office after her departure, but he only took some documents he needed. Have you understood who the thief was? It was Ralph. Otherwise, how would he know the figurine was Chinese? Mary was a college teacher. It was the beginning of a new school year and 3 new students joined the class. When Mary saw them, she immediately realized something was off about one of them. What did she notice? The guy in the middle doesn't have a shadow. Logan worked as a security officer on a small cruise ship. One day, during a severe storm, he found Mr. Lewis lying on the deck. When the man came to his senses, he said someone had hit him on the head and had taken his wallet. Logan had 3 suspects. He visited them in their cabins. Linda told him she was feeling queasy because of seasickness. She couldn't even get up from her bed. Denise said she'd been watching a movie on her smartphone. And Philip said he'd been writing a letter to his wife. Logan immediately understood who had hit Mr. Lewis. Do you know? It was Philip. Look at his letter. The handwriting is immaculate. But it's impossible to write so accurately during a storm. Look at these elderly ladies. Both of them have gone out for a walk. At first glance, they seem totally normal. But one of them is actually planning something bad. Can you figure out which granny it is? It's the granny on the right. She's got a file hidden in her knitting basket. Look at this explorer. He seems to be in a tough situation. There are 4 tunnels in front of him. The first one seems to be freezing cold, with some perilous-looking icicles hanging over the entrance. The second tunnel looks outright creepy. A giant shark is in the 3rd tunnel, and the 4th pass is covered with molten lava. Where should our explorer go? He should opt for the 1st tunnel. Have you noticed a rather well-trodden track there? So this way can't be too dangerous. Kenneth was hungry. He found a nice diner that served burgers and bought one. After a waiter brought him his order, Kenneth went to the bathroom to wash his hands. But when he came back, his burger was gone. The guy looked around the diner and understood who had taken his lunch. Can you figure it out? It's this young woman. A dog is sitting at her feet and sniffing the air. If she was just drinking coffee, which is what she's pretending to do, the dog wouldn't be so interested in her.